Mexico spans a total area of about 762,000 square miles, making it the 13th largest country in the world. To put into perspective, it is roughly 3 times the size of Texas, with a terrain that features rugged mountains, expansive central plateaus, wide deserts, tropical jungles, and over 5,700 miles of coastline. Millions of Americans and Canadians travel to Mexico each year. They come as tourists, business owners, snowbirds, remote workers, and full-time retirees. Due to this high international presence, settling in Mexico's top expat enclaves is easier. Hollywood and mainstream media's usual portrayal of Mexico as some sort of crime-infested country may give expats and retirees a pause about moving here initially. However, most of its premier areas are safe, and internationals residing here rarely complain about safety. But of course, crime can occur anywhere, so using the same common sense that you would in back home is your best approach. When it comes to visas, US, Canadian, and EU nationals can freely come and reside in the country for 180 days. Though permanent residency has gotten expensive over the years, currently a minimum income or pension of about $4,500 to $7,000 US is mandatory to qualify. Ultimately, choosing the best area in Mexico for living or retirement eventually comes down to your personal goals and preference. So with all that in mind, here are the top best places to live or retire in Mexico. Number 11, Baja California. Expanding around 800 miles from the US border to the Pacific coast and the Sea of Cortez, Baja California is the northernmost state of Mexico. It is the second smallest state in Mexico by population, but the 9th largest in terms of area, providing elbow room and exploration space for all those who live here. The peninsula is divided into 2 states, Baja California in the north and Baja California Sur in the south. The north, which is close to the border of US, is not an appealing area to live or retire in, while the south is famous for beach resorts, as well as small retirement communities on the shoreline. But be aware, living costs in this part of Mexico are some of the highest. Housing, food, services, and utilities cost twice as much when compared to other parts. That said, many retirees spend less overall than they did in the US or Canada. But if you opt to reside in or around its premier areas, like Los Cabos or La Paz, expect to spend over $4,000 to $5,000 per month. For those on a budget, its coastal city of Ensenada is ideal, located just 75 miles south of San Diego. When it comes to crime, the urban areas near the border like Tijuana are considered unsafe. But the beach towns and cities where expatriates have lived comfortably for decades are very safe. Number 10, Guadalajara. Touted as the Silicon Valley of Mexico, Guadalajara is a city of tree-lined neighborhoods, colonial architecture, celebrated gastronomy, and excellent private health care. For international retirees, its greatest advantage lies just beyond the city. Around 45 minutes away is Lake Chapala, Mexico's largest freshwater lake, where the lakeside towns of Ajijic and Chapala have attracted American and Canadian retirees for generations. These communities are among the oldest and most established expatriate enclaves in the country, offering an easy transition with English-speaking services, active social organizations, and a welcoming atmosphere that makes newcomers feel at home from the start. Retirees of Lake Chapala benefit from the close proximity of Guadalajara, as the city hosts an international airport, world-class hospitals, and all the modern-day amenities. Besides, the city of Guadalajara itself is worth living in. Crime rate is low, the cost of living is reasonable, and the young population makes integration easier for digital nomads and passive earners. Number 9, the city of Oaxaca. Nestled in the foothills of Mexico's Sierra Madre Range, Oaxaca is the capital of the state bearing the same name. Its historic center has been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The city's Spanish colonial street plan and buildings are still intact, making it compact and walkable. Here you'll get a more curious and adventurous expat crowd, but with fewer than 10,000 of them around, you won't feel lost in a sea of foreign faces. It's one of the safest cities in Mexico, with the lowest crime-to-population ratio. Since foreigners are a small percentage of the population, prices for everything, including rent, are reasonable here. Besides accommodation, services, food, and utilities also cost way less here. As a whole, a budget of around $1,500 is more than enough. On the downside, the healthcare system in Oaxaca is obsolete. You'll find general practitioners and dentists, but for specialists and more serious issues, you'll want to head to a bigger city. Therefore, it is suited more for younger digital nomads and early retirees with fewer health concerns. Another thing to note is that it's pretty far from the coast. So if you want to have a quick weekend by the beach, you'll have to book a car or take a flight. Number 8. The state of Querétaro. The state of Querétaro is one of the smallest in Mexico, yet it is also one of the most heterogeneous geographically, with ecosystems varying from deserts to tropical rainforest, especially in the Sierra Gorda, which is filled with micro-ecosystems. Its city of Santiago de Querétaro is the main point of interest for retirees and remote workers. If you are looking for a city with year-round good weather that doesn't get too hot or too cold, Querétaro is one of the best places in the country for weather. You are close to tons of fantastic hiking, and the restaurant scene has grown so much here in recent years. The cost of living is higher than Oaxaca, but the amenities are better. You can expect to find tons of fantastic doctors and qualified specialists for something more serious. To top it off, Querétaro is widely regarded as one of the safest and most livable cities in Mexico. It has a booming economy, a strong middle class, and a massive expat community. Number 7. Puebla. Puebla is about 2 hours southeast of Mexico City, right in the foothills of the active Popocatépetl volcano. Although it hasn't had a large eruption for over 1,100 years, it often spews little dust and ash, which hardly affects day-to-day life. The city itself dates back to the 15th century, with a rich architectural style that blends everything from Baroque, Renaissance, and Classical into one frame. The cost of living in Puebla is low. Spacious apartments are available at moderate prices, and some have their own private courtyards. It's possible to find a 2-bedroom home outside of the historic district for as low as $500 a month. Plus, the local markets provide plenty of fruits, vegetables, and fresh meats at affordable prices. All in all, a budget of $1,500 to $2,000 is sufficient for a comfortable life here. Another thing to note is that healthcare in this part of the country is top-notch. Most doctors in Puebla have received their training in the U.S., though price for a visit can start at around $25. Number 6. Puerto Vallarta. Located between the Sierra Madre Mountains and Mexico's Pacific coast, Puerto Vallarta hits the sweet spot between a beach town and a real city. If you are looking for a coastal retreat where there are more foreigners than locals, basically, a place where we would hear English first and then Spanish, then Puerto Vallarta is your best bet. Over 70 to 85,000 Canadians and Americans live in this area full-time or part-time. The exact number may change seasonally, but in peak tourist months, it has more foreign nationals than locals. This is a full-on tourist city, of course, so prices here are evidently higher than average. A monthly budget of around $2,500 is mandatory for a fruitful life in Puerto Vallarta. If you are on a smaller budget, you can travel inland for a few miles, and all of the high-rises and condominiums will give way to small neighborhoods where you can rent a house with a nice yard for under $600. While within the downtown area, you'll find a Costco, a Walmart, private hospitals with English-speaking doctors, and local mercados and farmers markets where you can get top-quality produce. Number 5. The city of Mazatlan. On the far western side of mainland Mexico, Mazatlan sits on the Pacific Ocean, just about parallel to the southernmost tip of the Baja Peninsula. It is popular with both investors and retirees, as a place to live and a place to buy property near the water. Even in the most popular areas, near the marina and golf course, you'll find plenty of houses for sale for half what the average is in the US or Canada. But like anywhere else, you'll pay more for beachfront property. That said, smaller homes and condos can still be found in the $180,000 range, with newer construction prices going up from there. When it comes to cost of living, it is more economical than the likes of Puerto Vallarta, with median monthly spendings rarely exceeding the $2,000 mark. In terms of safety, violent crimes are much rarer in Mazatlan, though petty thefts in tourist areas occur, but police are continuing to crack down on this as well. Number 4. Mexico City. If you love the hustle and bustle of a big city, along with all the modern-day conveniences of a metropolis, then the capital of Mexico is the place to be. It's a massive metropolis of 22 million people, home to historical sites, delicious food, and hipster neighborhoods. It also has a distinctly modern vibe, so if you are a city dweller, you'll feel right at home. Beyond the city escapades, there are lots of green spaces, and you're only a short drive from several nature's reserves. Most retirees are off-put by the idea of moving here, while digital nomads feel right at home in Mexico City, with its many cafes and co-working spaces where they can set up office. Safety can be a concern, as being a large city, crime rates are higher than usual. However, high crime rates are limited to certain areas. Living costs also vary from one neighborhood to another, but on average, $1,800 is more than enough for a remote worker. Number 3. Guanajuato State. Located in the heart of central Mexico, the state of Guanajuato is known for its colonial architecture, mild highland climate, rich cultural heritage, and a low cost of living. The state's biggest draw is undoubtedly the colonial city, San Miguel de Allende. This city consistently ranks among Mexico's best places to retire, and is now home to an expatriate community estimated at well over 20,000 residents, with most from the United States and Canada. Nearby, its namesake capital is more authentic, more affordable, and alive with universities, theaters, cafes, and colorful hillside streets. Other cities such as León provide modern hospitals, international shopping, and one of Mexico's strongest regional economies. Living costs across the state remain modest, with housing, healthcare, dining, and daily expenses being easily covered under $1,800. The region receives a relatively mild climate, avoiding the tropical heat found in coastal areas. Safety is another reason Guanajuato continues to appeal to foreigners. While some parts of the state have experienced security challenges, the areas most popular with expatriates remain very safe. Number 2. The city of Mérida. A city of more than 1 million people, with all the traffic and bustle that entails, but a surprisingly low crime rate, Mérida often tops lists for the safest cities in Mexico. The core of the city features colorful colonial buildings and run-down hipster-style cantinas. Although it is located on the Yucatan Peninsula, it's important to note that the city itself is not on the water. The closest beach is about 30 minutes away by a car. There is already an established community of expats from the US, Canada, and Europe. But given the size of the city, you will have more need to speak Spanish. Alongside many expats and a safe environment, Mérida has cycling-friendly streets, excellent healthcare services, and a walkable layout. Number 1. Riviera Maya. The Mayan Riviera is a 75-mile-long stretch on the Caribbean coastline, starting from the south of Cancun to all the way to Tulum. The main point of interest on this Riviera is the coastal city of Playa del Carmen. It is a pretty cool beach town that definitely gets crowded with American and Canadian tourists during the winter and spring. You don't necessarily have to live near the tourist area, though. Playa del Carmen has a city side where the locals live, and if you drive a little bit further down the coast, there are a few great condominium and apartment complexes with reasonably priced places. But this part of Mexico receives the highest international visits, therefore monthly costs are set high. On average, a couple needs at least $3,800 a month to reside comfortably. Its city of Cancun is decked with modern hospitals and specialist clinics, as well as private care, which is affordable by international standards. In addition to that, the peninsula is considered one of Mexico's more secure parts, with active international communities that provide a social base for newcomers.